Hi, and welcome to another edition of Duck Chatter. On this episode, we're going to talk about proper call care and maintenance, especially wood calls, because we have a lot of questions on wood calls. Naturally, wood will absorb moisture, okay? So it's going to swell. So what you need to do each day when you get done practicing with it or duck hunting, you need to take it apart. There's two parts. Here's the barrel, which you blow into, and the insert. Each day when you get done hunting, you need to take those apart, and they need to hang on your lanyard. Always recommend to have a loop on your barrel and a loop on your insert on all your calls. That way you don't never lose this or this. Okay, now retuning a call. Say this thing is stuck together and you can't get it out. You're trying to twist it, can't get it out. The twisting method really don't work. So what you want to do is get the call, look in the barrel, get the reed horizontal with the floor, and you want to put the barrel, which is the part you blow into, in your left hand, and in your right hand put the insert in it, and put pressure down and up, and then kind of pulling apart, and it should make a little pop, and it should come right out. Now, if you can't get it out when you try this, I recommend putting it in a bag of rice, or put it in some newspaper or a cardboard box for a couple of days, and that should dry it out enough that you can take it apart, but you might have to do the same thing. But it is critical on wood calls to take them apart every day when you get through using them. So for number one, they stay in tune, and number two, they don't crack and get stuck. Okay, retuning a wood call. Once you get it apart, I do this with every call. You're going to take the reed out, grab the end of the reed, and kind of wiggle it back and forth and take the reed out. Then I always have a punch, a nail punch. You can use a screwdriver or anything, but it needs to be smaller than the cork slot, so it needs to fit underneath there when that cork's not in there. Because if you got something that's the same diameter or bigger, when you pull this cork in, it's going to catch the front edge of that right there, and it'll break that off, and then you have a duck call that's not going to work anymore, and you have to buy a new one. Okay, push the cork out, and I always have a toothbrush. Take the toothbrush and clean any food or debris that might have got in there from duck hunting. Get it good and clean. Then I'll look in the exhaust hole down the tone board, and I have these are just fuzzy sticks. I've twisted them together to make them a little bit thicker. Anyway, I just push it through and make sure there's nothing hung up in there or dirt. And I'll check the reed and inspect it. Reed looks good. It's not milked up, cracked. Check the bend. You always want the bend of the reed where it's bowing that way. It needs to set on the soundboard just like that. So I'll move that to the back, hold it with my thumb, left hand, get it centered. Get me a piece of cork, chew on it, make sure it's pliable. You want it tight, but not too tight. All right, so I'm gonna pull it about halfway in with my finger. And then I'm gonna take my punch, lay it flat against the reed, and I'm gonna pull straight down all the way to the back till it seats. Now see, if I had a puller or something that was too big and it pulled and it caught that front lip, it would break that off. And then when you're cutting your cork, a lot of people I get retuned and stuff, they've done it themselves. They'll cut their side of their call all up. That's not necessary. You just need to lay the razor blade flat or flush against the side of the bottom of the soundboard and gently start to pull. Don't put a bunch of pressure. And as you're pulling, watch the top side of the knife blade and just move it in or out, whatever you got to do to not cut that, but you want it up against the top as well. So I'm going to gently pull it, and as it starts to get close, I put it against the top, and then just continue to slowly pull it and cut it. And then when I get right to the very end, I always push the cork forward and break it off right there. And it's a nice, clean cut cork. This call should be ready to go. And just like that, it's ready to call in some ducks. Okay, on this next part we're going to discuss retuning a double reed. Very simple, but we're going to show you how to do it. Okay, retuning a double reed. The only difference is you got 2 reeds and you got to change 2 reeds basically. This is what I normally do. Take the reeds out, go ahead and clean the exhaust and the drill hole out with my fuzzy sticks that I have. Then I take my toothbrush, make sure all the food and dirt or sand out of there from duck season is out, get it good and clean, and I will inspect the bottom reed, and this one is still good. Inspect the top reed, which is the dimpled reed, and usually what happens is that dimple on there from hitting so many times flattens out. So the dimple reed usually wears out. That's the first thing. And then this thin wedge that holds everything together is the second thing that wears out. I recommend replacing the thin wedge twice a season and a dimpled reed once a season. So we're going to check the bend of this reed, make sure it goes down on the soundboard just like that. Slide it back to the cork slot, hold it in place, and I get a dimpled reed, a new one. And you always want the dimpled part on top of this reed. I have got them in where they've had that upside down. The call will not work that way. So anyway, we're going to put that down, get it nice and centered, get a new rubber wedge. I don't chew on it much. I just kind of bite it with my front teeth just once, pull it in halfway, then take my nail punch and pull it all the way to the back until it seats. And then it should be ready to roll. Just like that, it's ready to go back hunting. That's it for this week's Duck Chatter. Hopefully those tips will help you in the future. Have a good day.